Welcome to Rethink Your Legacy. This is a conversation designed to help you live out your family's values before you leave this world. I'm Francisco Servent, your attorney and problem solver at law, your host today. Thanks for joining us. If you need help, if you need help from Keystone Law Firm before we even get into today's topic, let me just invite you to give us a call, 480-750-7788. We'd be happy to give you some resources. We've given away a free copy of our book today. And so just give us a call and let us know. My team would be happy to see how we could help. We are coming up to Labor Day, and I hope everyone's planning something fun. Are we allowed to plan anything fun these days? I don't know. It seems like it's harder and harder, but I hope you are. I really hope you find a way to take that day and just sit back and relax. I mean, this has been a long haul of a pandemic so far. A lot of people are being affected. And it's just, the world doesn't look the same anymore. We're looking around and, our kids are doing online school. Literally, all of us are doing online school for our kids. It's kind of hard to believe because not all of us would have wanted to do homeschool before, but now we're all into it. It's just so different. And Labor Day is a really cool day for us to remember the true value of work, right? And you might go, the value of work. What are you talking about, Francisco? Look, the value of work is, it's not the value of just labor for its own sake. It's the value of getting up and knowing that you're making a contribution to this world, that you're making a contribution to others. Yeah, work is work, and sometimes we're just in a grind, and sometimes we're just in a job for a paycheck. And that's okay. That's helping you hopefully get to the next point in life. But the value of work is that you're giving value to others. That's the real value of it. And if we don't feel valued, it's hard. It's just hard to get up every day and go do what we need to do, and then be the person that we want to be for our family, for our loved ones, for our kids, for our parents. I don't know if you know, Labor Day actually started back in the 1800s. This thing has been going on for a long time. We're being thrown at us. A lot of things are being thrown at us with new developments, and I think Labor Day weekend we're going to see a big kickoff of the election season. Holy moly! Is everybody going yay? It is what it is, I guess. The primary elections are all wrapped up. COVID numbers, I think they're starting to plateau here in Arizona. We're looking a little better. That's encouraging. Mountainside Fitness, has everybody been watching Mountainside Fitness? They've been having their day in court. I think that's still changing every day. So who knows what it's going to be like tomorrow. The thing that is still weighing down on me a ton is the number of unemployment. It just blows my mind. I looked up what the numbers were last year, the same time. This year, if you've been watching this at all, we're at about 30 million people unemployed in the country. 30 million people. It's so sad. Last year, the same time, there was 1.7 million people. And there's just so many people right now who want to work who aren't working. We've been so blessed at Keystone Law Firm. We haven't had to furlough anybody. And, our staff has been digging in and working hard and trying to take care of you. We're really, really honored to have, the clients come and ask for our help. So where we're headed today, and today's topic is how to, I want to get us focused on this one thing about your work that you have worked for, your whole life. If you're close to retirement, you're at retirement, you're in retirement. Oh my gosh, you've worked a lot of years. You have toiled, you have, labored, and it's time to make sure that your money now works for you properly. And so I want to focus on today one thing, making sure that you are using your money wisely to let it work for you, to take care of you and your family with this one question. What is the difference? Now, okay, before I get to the question, um, I think if you are anything like my parents who raised me with the concept of we need to be responsible with our money, and we need to use our money in somewhat of a frugal way, right? We gotta make sure we're using it correctly and getting our money's worth. That's the issue today. And I want to dive in on one piece of that with respect to my practice area, estate planning. Now, again, if you need help, if you need something from our law firm, don't wait until the end. Just pick up the phone, give us a call, 480-750-7788. We'd be happy to help. You can also go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. So the question, are you getting your money's worth, that I just want to be open and transparent with everybody about is, what is the difference between a LegalZoom trust and a law firm trust? Basically, is it worth the extra money? I mean, heck, when I first got into estate planning, 14, 15 years ago, I had to kind of deal with that question myself, because I'm totally computer savvy, love doing stuff online, love, getting my own things done. And I mean, honestly, I wondered what's the difference? Like, why would anybody do that? Why wouldn't you just go to LegalZoom, or even there's plenty of like free forms you can just download online? Why wouldn't just download those things and chop it out and you're done, right? And it took me some real soul searching to figure out, gosh, Francisco, are you really like worth that extra money? It's a tough question to ask. I mean, when you think about Labor Day, like we want to, wherever we're working, we want to be worth what they're paying us. I mean, I don't ever want to rip somebody off. I don't ever want to be accused of ripping somebody off. Whether I'm a lawyer, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a doctor, or I'm an engineer, or whatever, right? I want my boss, my company, my client, my customer, I want them to get the value of my efforts. I want it to be worth it. And I had to really stare this like head on straight into the face of, holy cow, am I any different than LegalZoom? Whoa. It's a sobering feeling to think there's this massive computer system out there that might just do exactly the same thing I do. So I had to kind of dig in and see, wow, how am I different? What am I different at all? and it, I started to really learn, and right. And the first thing that I was pointed to was LegalZoom's website, where they have tons of information, and they do have tons of good information. But one of the things that they have on there is what they call their $50,000 guarantee. And I went to that and just started, oh, sweet, perfect. What's their guarantee? Let me read that. And just reading through the fine print, because it's all fine print. And a couple things jumped out at me. And what we're going to talk about today is where I really think when is it worth it to have a lawyer help you with your estate plan, your will, your trust, versus, when is it just simple enough to just go do it on LegalZoom? And two of the quotes that I pulled out of their guarantee that I think are that help us understand what they are truly promising to you are these two. Number one, quote, if your living will is found by a court of competent jurisdiction within the United States to be invalid solely because it was created online through an internet website, we will pay you $50,000. That's the first quote. The second quote is, this guarantee only covers instances where the document is declared invalid in its entirety. Interesting. So that's what I was faced with. So if you're ready to create your will, your trust, your estate plan, and you already know, no thank you, LegalZoom. I just want this done right. I want it done by a firm that knows what they're doing, that's done this thousands of times. Give us a call, 480-750-7788. Be happy to help you and see if this is a good opportunity for you to get this fixed for your family. Or you can jump on our website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. We are the only firm that offers a 10x no probate guarantee in writing. And you're welcome to request and review a copy of that anytime. You can go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. We are also giving away a free copy of my book, Pack Your Parachute, which goes into the 12 biggest topics around all of these issues so that you can just learn about this stuff. And I'm happy to give that away to you for free, no cost. Just get on the website, request it, or you can send an email to radio@keystonelawfirm.com. Next, we're going to be talking about some of these LegalZoom nightmare horror stories that do come up. So come right back and join us. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. I'm Francisco Servent, your attorney and problem solver at law. Today, we're digging in on really, is it worth it? Is it worth the money that you work hard for? Is it worth it to use a lawyer versus LegalZoom to do your will, your trust, your estate plan? And like I said, this is something I struggled with when I first got into this because I didn't want to be, I wanted to be giving people great value for what they were paying me. And if all I was doing was the same thing as LegalZoom, I just had this internal struggle. And so what we're talking about is, what is this that LegalZoom truly gives? And when is it worth it to consider working with a lawyer versus doing it all online yourself? Now, the first thing that I just want to highlight, of course, is their guarantee. You just need to know that if you're going in to use LegalZoom services, or their website, I should say, that number one, they're not a lawyer. And they specifically say we can't give legal advice. Not a big surprise with that. But they do say that the only time their guarantee kicks in is if your document is found to be invalid for the sole reason that it was created online through an internet website. And I read that and I went, the only reason that their guarantee kicks in is if you get a court, or somebody gets a court to say this document's invalid because it was created online. That's literally 100% fake guarantee. That will never happen. There's no law. Look, I've done this thousands of times. I'm very well regarded as an expert in this. There is no way you would ever get a document declared invalid for the sole reason that it was created online. It is literally a total fake guarantee. I mean, we have laws now that say all of these things created online are valid. I mean, we have all these electronic document acts that are in place that say you can create electronic documents. I mean, now LegalZoom isn't giving you electronic documents, but it's just like a complete fake guarantee. Holy cow. So anyway, I mean, fine, maybe that's not too big of a deal. So I was looking around and reading some more when I was struggling, because I like I said, this was a struggle for me. And then I started to find actually some stories, and there's people out there who've written about their experience using LegalZoom. And I mean, you can read my firm's reviews online too, KeystoneLawFirm.com. They're really good. They're not all 100% peachy keen, but we're almost 5-star on Google. And what I was finding on LegalZoom, just some very telling stories. I think in my quick scan, I found like a dozen just really sad stories of people who tried to use it. One gal out of Illinois said that she paid almost $300 for a living trust and filled everything out, sent it back, and after all of that, found out that she needed to put her house in the trust and that it would cost her more money. And she said, oh my gosh, well, if you're going to do that and charge me more money, why don't you disclose all that up front? Well, that's frustrating. Another gal, Eleanor, out of Florida, she eventually canceled all of her services with LegalZoom because she didn't have anybody to talk to make sure that it was even legal. There was some 14-day trial, but it was only a 30-minute conversation, and after 30 minutes, she would get charged by a lawyer. And they made it clear that there was nobody for her to talk to. She said, I don't want to die and have a paper that I paid for not protecting my family after my death. Yeah, that's the big concern. Dana out of New York said she's used LegalZoom a bunch of times, and then she got automatically signed up for extra things that she was being charged for, automatically buried in their terms and conditions. And then she had to fight to get those canceled and get the refunds and get the charges to stop. Oh, that sucks. She said, I'll never use them again. And every time she asked them a question that she actually got a hold of someone, she got this exact same thing back every time. I'm not authorized to answer that. I'm not authorized to answer that. And she said, then they just harass you to get more money out of you. That's just terrible. Let's see. Mark out of North Palm Beach, Florida, he sat on the recording on the phone claims their call volume is up, and he was informed that the wait time would be 4 hours. That's terrible. 4 hours. I mean, come on. This is important stuff people are trying to solve. That's a capacity sort of business management problem. And I think that's just what it is, and that should be expected, right? If you're going to do something that's online, the fact that they offer you a 1-800 helpline, do you really think that they're staffing this thing with appropriate experts who can handle that volume for that cost? I think these people answer the question. Look, if you need help, if you don't want to become the next LegalZoom horror story, we'd be happy to see if this is a good fit for you to work with Keystone. Give us a call, 480-750-7788, or you can jump on our website at radio.keystonelawfirm.com, and you can actually schedule your first appointment right there. The problem with the big problem with not having somebody to talk to is like anything in life, I think. How many times did you work with a teacher or a coach and you bounce ideas off of them, and they just ask you good questions. They know what questions to ask you because they've coached 100 kids before. They've coached 100 students before. And if you don't have somebody asking you those questions, you can completely miss some big issues. What we're gonna cover in the next segment after the break is 14 main differences that I have discovered are important for some people between using LegalZoom and working with an attorney, or specifically working with our law firm. When I started Keystone Law Firm in 2007, it was primarily because I found that it wasn't just LegalZoom that had its own problems. It was the whole industry that just had huge problems. I mean, it turned into me digging and digging and digging, and finally hearing it from the horse's mouth, from one of the lawyers that I looked up to, who said that, look, we do the best we can. We give people these documents. We do a great job. It's got all the tax planning and blah, 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 blah. But we can't expect that they're going to remember to call us back when life changes. We can't expect that they're going to remember to, track us down when when their family moves around. We can't expect to, who in the world is going to expect me to chase them down every time there's a legal change? Because there's legal changes all the time. And I kept hearing this. And it was telling something. And then a lawyer finally said it. He said, look, you just get a bunch of these out there. You get hundreds and hundreds and thousands. And basically, the goal is for you to get up to about 5,000 wills or trusts or anything out there. Get them done, like $300, $500, $700, whatever. Just get them done. Because when they die, they'll hire you for the big probate case. And in Arizona, probate cases, you can charge 10, 20, 50, $100,000. That's where the real money is. And I just went, like, I'm staring at him and I'm thinking, are you serious? This is really what everybody's doing? And that's kind of what everybody's doing. If you read the fine print on most documents that are drafted by everybody, LegalZoom, other lawyers, it's got some fine print in there that says they aren't responsible. So that's what we're going to really talk about. We're going to talk about the difference between LegalZoom and a lawyer, an estate planning lawyer, but I'm going to elevate the standard a little bit. I'm going to say we're going to talk about the difference between LegalZoom and Keystone Law Firm, because we've chosen to do things completely differently, where we give a 10x no probate guarantee. Now, if you're just like, nope, I don't want to hear anymore, or maybe you do want to hear more, but you don't want to wait, give us a call, 480-750-7788, and my team will help you figure out if we are the right fit for you. The first step that we do with any new client is called a discovery hour. And you just come in, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's no pressure. You have an appointment, we're doing them virtually right now. And number one, you figure out your issues. What are your family's issues? Teach us what those are. Teach us what your goals are with all this stuff. How do you want this to play out? Because clients do have different goals around this stuff. I don't want to drag you through something that's not your goal. And then third, my team will lay out what your options are. It's pretty simple for us because we do it all the time. So it's a discovery hour, like I said, and you can just call, get that scheduled, talk to our team, or you can jump on radio.keystonelawfirm.com. There's a button you can click right there and schedule your first call and figure out really, what does your family need? What are your options? What are the options that are relevant for you, for your spouse, for your kids, for your business, whatever it is you're trying to protect, and let us help you figure that out. And we'd love to see if we're a good fit. Now, join us back after the break, because like I said, we're going to dig into the 14 main differences between LegalZoom and Keystone Law Firm. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. I'm Francisco Servent, your attorney and problem solver at law. If you need help, just give us a call, 480-750-7788. My team will do everything they can to figure out what free resources you need. If you want a free copy of the book, if you want to go ahead and schedule an appointment, just give us a call. Today, we're trying to figure out what I learned when I went through this discovery of, Francisco, are you really worth the extra money? Or are you doing the same thing that LegalZoom is doing? Because as an estate planning attorney, if I'm doing the same thing that LegalZoom is doing, I better just tell people to go to LegalZoom, right? And I had this internal struggle as I was building my practice, right? And so what we're on now is the 14 main differences that I discovered as I was learning through this process. I mean, as a young lawyer, you really want to help people, or at least I did. And yeah, I mean, what the heck? If I'm just an alternate choice to LegalZoom, I guess that's helpful. But I wanted to be more than that. I really wanted to be a counselor, an advisor, And that's the first big difference. Number one is that there is zero guidance from someone with experience when you use LegalZoom. That's a risk, right? That's tough. If you guys have been listening to my show, you know that my grandpa Baker, he left me with tons of stories. I mean, story after story after story, almost 200 pages of stories about his life and just crazy experiences he was on, where he learned from somebody else's experience. And I just pulled this one little quote out of it because there's so many good quotes, but he said, "I'd like to tell you about one of those happenings and trace events leading up to it, events which dramatically and negatively shaped my life, something terribly regrettable. But even now, with many years of added wisdom, I don't know how I could have prevented it or have done any different." And that's my grandpa, right? He's giving me the wisdom of his experience. He went through something tough. He went through something specifically he says was regrettable, negatively shaped his life. But you know what? He put it down in writing and he shared the story with me. Now I get the benefit of that wisdom. That's the biggest problem that I find with LegalZoom. You can't ask someone who's done it 1,000 times and say, hey, what should we do in this situation? Yes, my family's simple, but I've got this one little unique twist. Or, you know what, my family's completely plain vanilla. Leave it to beaver cleavers, just easy, plain, apple pie. But I still want to ask some questions. You just don't get that with LegalZoom. They're not allowed to. And everything that I'm reading, I haven't done it, but everything that I'm reading is that if you call them, they'll say, we can't answer your question. Number two, they totally ignore your beneficiary designations. This is a critical piece of your estate plan. If you draft a will and you get that done correctly, signed, witnessed, notarized, it's got the right language in there. If you do that all correctly, but then on your life insurance policy, it still names your ex-wife, or your IRA names your spouse, but then doesn't have a contingency, that beneficiary is going to trump whatever your will says. And so they completely ignore and don't help you coordinate all of those things. Number three, they totally ignore the what if backup plans, right? So your primary desires are A, B, C. Well, what's the backup plan if something happens and they're not available? LegalZoom doesn't address that. They don't give you an opportunity to do that. Number four, it doesn't include the spendthrift language that protects inheritances from creditors. So you don't have to leave an inheritance to someone that might have creditors. I mean, we know, especially during this whole weird economic time, people are going to be running up some more credit card debt, some more obligations. And if they inherit money and they've got a bunch of creditors chasing them around, guess who's going to get it? Well, without that spendthrift clause, the creditors are getting it. Number five, they don't coordinate or plan to help you reduce or save any taxes. None, zero whatsoever. And right now, with the Secure Act affecting IRA accounts in a whole new huge way, that could be a 35% tax on all of your qualified retirement accounts, your IRAs, some annuities, 401ks. I mean, your investments, your biggest part of your nest egg might be devastated by 35% in taxes. Number six, they do not help you keep it in the family. Right down the family line, right? If it goes from you to your kids, what's going to keep it from going from your kids to the in-law, to their spouse? And maybe that's okay. Maybe you want that, but maybe you would rather it stay and go to the grandkids. They do not help you do that. Number seven, they completely ignore special needs kids. Completely ignore special needs kids. Whether you have special needs kids that are minors and young, or are older and over the age of 18, they just don't deal with it at all. So if you need help with this, give us a call, 480-750-7788. You can also jump on our website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. If you're catching this on Facebook, you can just click right down here below, and it'll take you straight to our website, where you can either request a copy of our book, or you can schedule your schedule your first phone call with us. Now, number eight, there's no asset protection for your spouse or your kids. What that means is if you're married and one of you passes away, your spouse can actually have the trust convert partially to where they can't lose it to creditors, to being in a lot. If they get dragged into a lawsuit, in a car accident, anything like that, you can asset protect it. And same thing for the kids. If the kids, you guys leave it in inheritance to the kids, you can leave it to them in a way that they can't lose it on accident. It's amazing. LegalZoom doesn't do that. Number nine, there are no blended family options. And we did a whole show on that already. What are all the options that a blended family needs, or at least should consider? But think about it. If you're bringing kids in from a prior relationship, or you're bringing assets or property or money in from a prior relationship, you might want to address that a little bit differently, or you at least might want to know what the options are. Number 10, there is no multi-state snowbird protection planning. None. Zero. So if you're a snowbird going from Minnesota to Arizona, or Washington to Arizona, or New Jersey to Arizona, Sorry, there's no options there for you. Number 11, it does not keep you out of probate because they do not help with making sure your trust is completely funded. They don't help make sure your trust is completely funded. You can set up a trust. If it's not funded, you're going to probate. Your family's going to be stuck in the nightmare. Number 12, it does not help you sign the documents correctly. They give you all the documents, they give you some instructions, and then they leave it up to you. I cannot tell you. We deal with about half of my practice is helping families who are in the middle of a nightmare. They had someone pass away and it's, the documents aren't working, somebody's fighting over the documents. And almost all of those cases, there is a will, there is a trust. It just wasn't done correctly or it's too old. That's just what it is. And so getting it drafted, if it's not signed correctly, it's worthless. Number 13, and this is where I start to distinguish between all other law firms and what Keystone Law Firm does. Number 13 is LegalZoom doesn't do updates proactively. And I have found that most of the law firms don't either. They don't do updates proactively. I mean, they can't. They're just waiting around for you to call them. And number 14, the last one, and the one actually that I started with, is that their guarantee is completely worthless. It is trash. It is garbage. It is nothing. There's no guarantee there. We give our clients a 10x no probate guarantee. Call our office to find out what that is, 480-750-7788. Our first step is a pretty easy discovery hour. It's low pressure. It's no pressure. It's very comfortable. We do it. You stay at home. We do a video call with my staff. My client relationship manager will help figure out with you, learn about your options, learn about your goals, and make sure you leave knowing what the options are that are relevant just for your family. It's not everything in the world. You don't need to go research everything there is to know that Francisco has studied for 20 years. No. What are the options you need to know about? And focus it down to that. And if it feels good and you are comfortable with it, you're free to get started. Be happy to help. Our team is a fun, optimistic, very welcoming crew, and I'm very proud of them for that. They're very specifically hand-picked for that so that you have a great experience. And if you want to do that, give us a call, 480-750-7788. If you're catching this on Facebook, drop us a comment here. We'll be happy to answer any questions, or you can click right on the link and it'll take you to the website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com, where you can schedule or you can request a free copy of the book, or you can shoot us an email, radio@keystonelawfirm.com. Now, come back to us after the break because we've got 2 great questions from our audience that we're going to answer right here on the show. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Francisco Servant, your host of Rethink Your Legacy. And today we're trying to help you get the most for your money to find out when is it worth it really to spend the extra money on a lawyer to do your will or trust versus using something like LegalZoom. And we just covered the 14 main differences. 14, that's kind of, I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of differences. 14 differences in the last segment. And if that's important for you, then those are the ones that you would say, okay, now that means I need to use an attorney. And I highlighted what I think is a critical distinction between what other law firms do and what we do at Keystone Law Firm, where we offer a 10x no probate guarantee. Something very unique. You can't get that anywhere else. I've not seen another firm do something like that. So if you would like that, give us a call. You'd like to learn more about that, 480-750-7788. Right now, we're going to do question and answer. This is your chance to get free questions answered by a qualified attorney. I hope I would consider myself that. I've been doing this for enough years now and working with thousands of families, helping them answer these kind of questions. So feel free to shoot in your questions, radio@keystonelawfirm.com. And we will be happy to answer them on a future episode here. So the first question we have is one that somebody sent in. It says, doesn't everything automatically go to the surviving spouse if you're married? Doesn't everything just automatically go to a surviving spouse? Okay, so You want the good lawyer answer? This works for everything. Just by the way, if you ever hear a lawyer say this, it's because this is the answer for everything. The answer is it depends. It depends. I need to do research on that. Okay, some things we need to do research on. I get it. So here's the general answer. Does everything go automatically between a husband and a wife? The answer is yes and no. The answer is mostly no. Nothing is automatic. I want to just give you that right up front. Nothing is automatic unless you have taken some steps to then make it happen automatically. So it doesn't automatically happen automatically. You have to take some steps to make it happen automatically, okay? So what do you have to do? So what are some examples? Some examples of things that you probably have already done are if you have a joint checking account, let's say, right? You have a joint checking account, both your names are on there. You guys both write checks. You both have a debit card, whatever, right? If you have that joint checking account, then yes, that joint checking account, and only that joint checking account will go poof automatically. Make sense? Okay. It's taken one thing at a time, though. That's the problem. Why, when people say, shouldn't it happen automatically? So just because one thing does it automatically doesn't mean everything will. So you've got each checking account, however many of those, each savings account, each money market, each investment account, each IRA, 401k, insurance, annuity, if you have stock holdings, bonds, if you have mutual funds, if you have so all those are kind of the financial assets. So each one of those, savings bonds, there's lots of different types, right? Each one of those has to be specifically listed automatically with right of survivorship, okay? If that's how you're going to do it. Now, the big thing, you can do right of survivorship on lots of things, okay? You can do it on a house, you can do it on a car, you can do it on lots of different types of bank accounts. You can name them as beneficiary on insurance and things like that. What that completely misses, 100%, is that what happens if they are incapacitated? What happens if they have a stroke and they're in the hospital? What happens if they have Alzheimer's or dementia and their mental faculties decline to the point where they can't manage, they can't sign things? That's the biggest problem. Nothing happens automatically at incapacity, even if they're named as beneficiary. That's a key piece. So if you want to figure this out, give us a call, 480-750-7788 or radio.keystonelawfirm.com, where you can request a copy of my free book, Pack Your Parachute. Happy to send it to you. That'll cover a lot of these topics. That'll cover all of these topics actually in a lot more detail and hopefully give you some more answers. So it only happens automatically if you have done some work to make it happen. Okay. Now, how do you make it happen automatically during incapacity and when someone passes away? My recommendation for almost everybody is a living trust, getting it funded correctly, and then keeping it up to date from now until forever. Sorry, but that's just the best advice that I can give you. All right. The second question that we have for today is kind of related. It's, I have beneficiaries on all my accounts. Do I still need a trust? This is the key, right? We sort of touched on it just a minute ago. I have beneficiaries on all my accounts. Do I still need a trust? So beneficiaries, they trigger for the next person, for the beneficiary that you've named. They trigger so that it does go automatically to them at one defining moment and only one defining moment. What is that? That is if you pass away, if you die. So what happens before that if you are incapacitated? That's why I think in Arizona, we have one of the biggest, busiest, and ugliest probate systems. Every year, we have 14,000 probate cases that are filed. And that's a mix of ones that happen after death and ones that happen while people are alive. 14,000 cases every year. What's a probate while we're alive? Weird, right? That is what is necessary if you don't have something that automatically gives somebody else control during your life. if you become incapacitated. This is that really weird, awkward moment where somebody has had a stroke or heart attack, or somebody has a brain injury, Alzheimer's, dementia, any of these things where their mental faculties have declined to the point where they can no longer legally sign anything. And that moment doesn't necessarily come with like an official, magical seal stamp from a doctor or lawyer or anything. That might not happen as some magically declared moment, but it certainly happens in somebody's life if that's the medical issue. And when that happens, if you haven't set things up through a trust that's properly funded and kept up to date forever, if you haven't done that, then that's when you need a probate while people are alive. That's when you need a probate for mom or dad to be able to pay their bills, access their IRA, even for your husband or wife, your spouse. If you own a house together, joint, even if it says with right of survivorship, and you need to sell that house, but your husband we had one where the wife had dementia, the husband couldn't sell the house because she couldn't sign. And he had to literally file a lawsuit in court, a probate, to be able to get permission to sign her name. That's the problem. So yes, if you have beneficiaries on all your accounts, do you still need a trust? Absolutely. Now, if you're looking for help with this, you've gotten to know me a little bit. I invite you to come back every week and catch up on the show. We talk about more and more things every week. You get to feel who I am a little bit. My team is the same. We're all friendly, optimistic, welcoming, personable bunch. And we would love to see if you are the right fit for us. And if we're the right fit for you, give us a call, 480-750-7788. First appointment that we offer is a discovery hour. And it's a very low pressure, easy appointment, just comfortable for you to be able to figure out, help us know what your issues are, your goals are, and your options. We will lay out your options. My client relationship manager is trained to do that and to help you figure out, is it going to make sense for you? And if it does, great, you can decide to move forward. If it doesn't, feel free, we'll part friends. And there is no pressure there. You can also jump on our radio.keystonelawfirm.com website and request a copy of my book, Pack Your Parachute. I'd love to put that in your email and be able to just help you learn more about this stuff. I cover 12 more topics in there. And then I want you to join us next week where we're gonna dig in on some new things that are a little bit hard to talk about, but I congratulate you for digging in today. See you next time.